Welcome to Love Stories, an inside look at the bakery world, chef journeys, and the business behind great food. I'm your host, Omar Pereni, and today it's all about croissants. Why this one pastry? Why do we obsess over every fold, every crackle, every layer? At Love Croissants, it all starts with Vermont butter, rich, high-fat, unapologetically French. The flavor doesn't lie, y'all. I'm joined by Chef Frederic and Diana Nadira to unpack the madness, the beauty, and the discipline behind it all. And support for the show comes from Vermont, Beurre de Tourage, 82%. Guys, thank you so much for coming. I'm so excited to have you at the podcast. And I'm just going to go around, first of all, because people don't know you necessarily. People follow you, but they don't know you. So we're going to just take a minute and just give us the rundown. Who the heck are you? I'm going to start with Chef Diana.
Sure. My name is Chef Diana. I am the pastry chef of Love Croissants.
Everybody knows this already. Just like, in case you didn't know.
In case you didn't know. And we are business partners, so that's also exciting. Yeah, that's me.
And tell us a little bit about like your background. How do you get this chef, outfit, the whole career? Where did you start? Are you like classically trained, more like French trained? Did you go to American culinary school? Just give us a little bit of that.
So I got into the baking world really late in life, after
Very late in life.
very late. And I decided to go to CIA in San Antonio.
I love that.
Got a associate's degree in baking and pastry. After that, I started my own business doing cakes and loved it. And then that kind of one thing turned into, it turned into this thing. So
It's Diana. It's not only an awesome pastry chef, dear friend of mine. We've known each other for years here in Houston, and we've shown to each other how much we share that work ethic, that crazy hustle, and we just like love good food. Not just like us personally, but like our families. Like her family is like the most culinary family ever.
Yeah.
And Adela, Diana's mom, she is the OG Lebanese chef. So I just thought we were gonna drop that in there. Thank you for coming, chef. Thank you
Thanks
for
me.
being in my life. Thank you for making Love Croissant such an incredible concept every day, and thank you for driving the bus. Honestly, I know I couldn't do it without you, and I think everybody knows this. But if you didn't know this, well, now you know it.
Mhm.
Chef Frederic,
Hi, Omar.
you're okay. So Chef Frederic is one of your many names. People call you Fred, Frederic,
Yeah,
Uncle
absolutely.
Fred. You're a
Ready?
very famous guy in the pastry world, at least here in Houston, because pretty much everybody that owns a bakery knows who you are. It's consulted, it's gotten some sort of consulting advice, coaching, training, and colored commentary from you from time to time. Tell me a little bit about you.
So I was born in France, right outside of Paris, and at a very young age, I knew that's what I wanted to do. Probably around 7 years old,
You knew you wanted to be a pastry
I
chef.
wanted to be a pastry chef, and that's what I decided to do.
You trained in Paris?
I trained in Paris, yes. I worked in multiple bakeries, pastry shops, chocolate shops. I was in some very nice chocolaterie around Paris. And then I went for like a higher degree. I had a total of 5 years, I learned to apprenticeship. And then so you have to work in a pastry shop, and you go to school. So you work for like 3 weeks, and then you go to school for a week, and that's they call it alternance. And you do that for 2 years, then you graduate. And then so I started when I was 16 years old. That's when it
And
all
you're
started for me.
What, 28 now?
Yeah, about
I'm
I'm
right
about to turn 30.
Okay, so in we understand you have a very colorful culinary career. You're a pastry chef. Pretty much you're on top of your field. You train everybody, and ourselves included. We love you. Everybody loves you in the industry. You're kind of like that connective tissue
Yeah.
in industries. I feel like there are some of us that are more toxic than others. That kind of like to separate people. You're definitely one of those that likes to create community.
Yes.
And a lot of, I mean, I've met a lot of pastry chefs through you, and I have created awesome friendships because of people that you connect me with. Just like That girl that we don't like that much. What's her name?
I don't know.
No.
Did you tell me?
He's also great with politics, as you guys can tell. He knows how to butter things up. Will you tell us what's your current role? Where are you at? What company or what are you doing?
So I'm a chef technician with Paris Gourmet. Paris Gourmet is an importer distributor. Started here in 1983 in Houston, and then by Xavier and Dominique Noel. And I've been a client of Paris Gourmet for many, many years. And then, over the years, when I was, I worked in Las Vegas, worked in...
Nobody works in Vegas. Come on now. People just go to Vegas.
It was only 14 years of my
Only
life.
14 years.
Yeah, but
Oh.
you know what they say, right? What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. I brought my wife and kids with me, so.
And you left them there. I'm like, I left the kids in Vegas. Why? Well, it happened in Vegas. Yeah.
They stay there?
I had to leave them there. So we have a lot of ground to cover today, guys, because today I really want to just speak a little bit about croissant.
Croissant.
We're going to talk a little bit about technique, but also why. Why is this thing so addictive? Why is it so special? Why is it really taking just the world's social media, the internet? Why is everybody so flaky? That's another question that I have, but maybe that's for another part. But so we went through the quick intro, so now we need to go around the table. Well, you know a little bit about me. So my name is Omar, and I'm addicted to croissant. So the second one that I kind of want to go around the table is what's your first encounter with croissant? Do you have that? What is the first time that you bit into a croissant and that changed your life? We're not going to talk about, entertainment activities.
Yes.
That when they do the first time, you're like, oh my God, I need this first time to happen again. Croissant is like that. It's addictive. And the first time you have it, it's just I feel like it does something to your brain. It's you just want that to happen.
I think
again.
it's more addictive than nicotine.
It really is.
Yeah, once you bite in there and then you get that butter flavor and that flakiness, it stays it imprints in your DNA.
So tell us about your gateway drug story with croissant.
Gateway drug with her. It's so when I started at 16 years old, and when I was about 18, 19 years old, I went to do a blood test, and my cholesterol was through the roof. So
At 19 years old?
Oh yeah, it was.
My God.
Yeah, it was really, really high.
Wow.
So I had to lay off from the croissant for a few years just to get back on track.
Wait, so what was your first time you had a bite of a croissant?
I don't remember because it's part of the culture over there. It's just I don't remember when was the first time I had a sip of wine or have a croissant. It's a culture.
Probably happened the same time, so you just
It's a culture thing, and
Lead it.
over there it's there's a legal drinking age, but I used to buy wine and cigarettes for my grandparents. I couldn't even reach the counter, so it's when somebody opens a bottle, they pour you a little bit of wine, they put a little water, and then you're very young, but you're introduced to the product.
So that's the first time you tried it.
First time I tried the
You don't
croissant.
remember that, but what about the moment you realized croissant was going to be more than just a pastry for you? The moment that you realize this is one of the tools or maybe a language that I'm going to use to make the world a better place.
Yeah,
Those are big words.
Well,
That's how I feel about you, man.
really enjoyed the texture and the flavor of the butter, but I knew it was more than something that I was gonna eat. I wanted to make my life around it. That's what I picked. That's what I wanted to do.
When was this?
Well, probably around 7 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
What about you, Chef?
That's hard.
That's
That's
your
hard.
first memory. Think about the first time that you were like, ooh, what is this bread that's a little different?
I don't remember. I will say, I remember my first Love Croissant. That was transformative because I was waiting to try a good croissant and it was warmed. And that was, wow. I do remember that changed my life.
And so it happened both times were at the same time. The first memory that you can think of, what about in culinary school when you had a croissant?
Yeah. I mean, that was when I learned what you look for in a good croissant. So that was my first introduction into good quality croissants.
And then the moment you realized croissant was gonna be a tool that you use to transform the world, is that something that, well, obviously that happened to you already?
Sure. I think when I learned how to make them, when I learned how to make them and I saw the difficulty of it, it's challenging.
For me, it was I grew up in Caracas, right? It's funny because Diana is half Venezuelan. No, you're Venezuelan, half Venezuelan. Oh.
Ethnically,
You're Venezuelan and
Yeah.
Lebanese.
Yes.
Well, I'm also Venezuelan from Caracas, and I remember my mom used to work at Oracle. It's like tech company. You guys have heard about it, and right down this building where my mom used to office at, there was this kind of like a bistro, brasserie, not so like just combination, right? Like patisserie, you know how they just combine everything in one concept, and it was called Gourmet Market. And that's the first time that I just remember vividly. We would just go there and we'll have a ham and cheese croissant. And oh my God, like I just remember that I treasure those moments. Like going to my mom's office, my sister and I would just mess around in the office and like make copies for no reason of anything that didn't need to be made copies of. We'd just walk away with like hundreds of copies. Oh my God, I hope my mom is not listening. This was also like 20 years ago, so it's probably fine. And then we'll go to Gourmet Market, and every time I ate this, I was like, this is the best thing I've ever eaten. And I've had several experiences in life where I've been reminded, you need to do something about your love for croissant. You need to do something about your love for croissant. And anyway, obviously 3 years ago is when this really took off and things changed.
That reminded me because I'd been there before too. You just reminded me, and I think that's my first memory too. Yeah, in that bakery.
In Gourmet Market in Venezuela.
Yeah, you talking about it? I think so.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're transformative, I guess.
Something common.
Okay, so now, guys, we're gonna go talk a little bit about the craft of croissant. Why is croissant so hard to master, you think? We're gonna go with Frederic this one first.
Well, croissant is it's a combination of lots of techniques, and the first thing that makes it really, really hard is like it's a live dough. There's a live culture inside, yeast, and so I get to travel throughout the country, and I go to a lot of different places, mostly in the U.S. And then depending on what place you're in, you have to adjust to the croissant and not the other way around.
So
it's not like one recipe that you do all across and then it comes out the same all the time. If you go in a very humid environment and it's cold or it's really hot, you adjust to the environment. You need to tweak your recipes. You need to use the refrigeration. You don't want to over ferment. You don't want to under ferment either. So it's like there's so many variables. That's what makes it so difficult. Even before you even start the lamination part, and I don't really like to use the word mastering, because as you travel and you go to different places, you learn something every time.
I heard this. I don't know who said this. It's probably somebody very famous and everybody knows who this is, but it's like the difference between a professional and a master.
Uh-huh.
A professional is somebody that does something until they get it right.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pro.
Yeah.
Right? And a master is somebody that does something until they can get it wrong.
Yeah.
And I just think that's so good. And to your point, mastering croissant, God, that takes a long time because the conditions change
all the time.
And for the people at home that are listening and like, what does he mean by ferment? Ferment?
Yeah.
He's talking about fermentation. I'm not trying to assume that you guys don't know, but I also, let's just clarify. So fermentation is a metabolic process in which yeast, is that how you pronounce yeast?
Yeast.
Yeast eats sugar, and yeast, by the way, is a mushroom, in case you guys didn't know this. In Latin, it's called Saccharomyces cerevisiae, which is a mushroom that eats sugar and then creates two byproducts. It's CO2, which is that air, essentially this beautiful air that's inside of our doughs, and then it creates alcohol. It's another byproduct. And then alcohol does a couple different things, but especially that flavor, that like almost like beer, like
Yeah, it smells like beer.
Yeah.
It's an alcoholic fermentation.
And so because it's something that's live and it's constantly changing, if the conditions of the space, the conditions of the ingredients,
Yeah.
fermentation change. So yeah, I can see how that's tricky.
It is.
Why do you think, chef? It's hard to master.
Yeah, I would piggyback off of what you said, Chef. It's definitely something that you kind of have to use your intuition as well. It's not something that you can just learn or teach. It's like you have to adjust during the process, and it's difficult. I mean, we have that issue with, when we're trying to also teach other people, because it's like, how do you train the specific knowledge of that? It's challenging.
In all fairness, I would say I think the croissant is maybe the most complicated pastry product.
Yes.
I would say.
Well, I think there's one above that, and it would be the panettone. Because
You think panettone is above?
No, I don't think.
Well, we're gonna do another podcast that is. Red, where are you?
Yeah,
We're talking about you here.
that's another dimension.
Sorry, by the way, I just like worship him.
Yeah.
It's great, yeah.
No, that's like, yeah.
Right. This is a formal invitation to this podcast. We're gonna put ads on this.
Yeah, panettone is it's another level. I mean, there's so much into it. It's
You have a fanboy over here, Roy. Well, I love panettone. I've definitely made panettone. I would by no means would say I'm a mastered panettone. I don't think I would say that about croissant either, quite honestly.
Well,
But it's neat how he meets in the middle of two sort of different worlds, right? The fermented world and then the pastry, the laminated world, which we haven't even talked about lamination. It's really cool. That's really I said what's really twice. That's kind of weird. That's what got me into croissant. It's like, it's something that sure everybody wants to eat, nobody wants to make. And within the culinary world, chefs that do everything, they don't like to get too involved in baking or pastry, because then people will know they don't know everything, right?
it's
Even people that get into baking and pastry, they kind of shy away from laminated doughs. I've seen, and I'm not particularly saying anybody, it's just like lots of pastry chefs that just buy puff pastry or croissant because it's just like, I don't want to go there. And so when I identify, okay, this is a niche, it's a product that everybody wants to eat, nobody wants to make, and even people that I admire are intimidated by.
yes.
Ooh. I love that. That's where I'm going to go.
Yeah, you're never too comfortable.
No.
And like I said, I travel a lot. I go to a lot of different states, lots of different bakeries where I get to work with like different equipment. There's always a different mixer, different dough sheeters, different proof box, different environments, and you need to adjust to the element. That's what makes it super tough.
I feel about croissant, and I'm practicing my croissant. Can you hear that? Because of you, I want to impress you, chef. I think it's like almost a little bit like business and finance and money in a way. It's like if somebody asks me, in short, how do you make a great croissant? I'm like, okay, well, there's like a lot of things here.
They're working right.
Get down into a lot of micro skills to get to that macro skill, right? Because yes, you need to understand. Do you know what temperature the dough is supposed to come out of the mixer? How do we make sure that it doesn't start proofing before we go into lamination? We don't want any fermentation before lamination because it's going to hurt, our product later maybe. Like, there's just a lot of little data. And so if you want to make a perfect croissant, just kind of understand that you're going to go through a process of learning a lot of theory, and theory will translate into practice. And it's very humbling. I think I haven't seen you crying because of croissant, but I have cried many times over flat croissants.
Well, you didn't pick the easiest product.
Cry? Do you ever cry?
Yes, I do.
Croissant makes everybody cry. It's insane.
Yeah.
It's like there to bring everybody to their knees.
Yeah, huge. We used to mix like hundreds of kilos at the time in the mixer of the bread baker. These things from humongous. When you make a mistake, I dropped a few tears as well. Yeah, it's very humbling experience.
Yeah.
And like a lot of things that are very technical, you learn a lot from your mistakes. You need to monitor your mistakes and try to not to repeat it. And that's the hardest part.
Careful here. We're going to get a little deep into what's philosophy behind croissant. So what does croissant represent to you? How you feel like croissant teaches some way like discipline, patience, humility, resilience. I told you guys we have a lot to unpack today, but I find this very unique, very interesting because I'm a savory chef. To be forever to be comfortable with that word. And even though I had achieved certain, like a little bit of the skull and momentum, let's call it your chef. Then I go into croissant and I'm like, oh my God, this thing is just like humbling is just the perfect word. Because like it doesn't matter how good you think you are, you're only as good as your last batch. So tell me a little bit of what does croissant represent to you?
Yeah, consistency, discipline. Those are like some of the key elements. Like if you wanna just to be able to reproduce the same thing all the time, over and over again, and control it almost perfectly, takes years of experience. And you weigh everything, you measure the temperature of the dough coming out of the mixer, control. Even though there's time, but you need to adjust to the elements, and there are so many variables. And getting to the same results over and over again. And then when you start to have like some kind of consistency, and I'm not gonna say get comfortable, because there's always something that's gonna happen.
Yeah, if you get comfortable, you're gonna oversleep. You're gonna snooze on. I don't want that over. It's over.
Or your confidence will kill you at the end. So
you ever watched that commercial of the baker that made me? There was a Dunkin' Donuts. It was like Freddie the baker. I'm pretty sure. And it was like this guy waking up at 4 a.m. was, it's time to bake the donuts. So I think about you a little bit, which nice. When I think about this. All right, next one is chef. Tell us a little bit about like what the emotional side of croissant. We practice a lot of emotional intelligence at work.
Yeah. I think croissant baking or croissant making touches different you need different skills, from the mixing of the dough to even the baking. And then the part that we get into also is like the little chocolate decorations. And so I think it touches, it's versatile. And so I think it teaches, not mastering, but learning about all these different techniques. And
yeah, it feels like I would call croissant a macro skill for sure. Mm-hmm. It's like when somebody says like, well, I don't know how to teach somebody how to be charismatic. Or same thing as saying, hey, how do I get rich? Ooh, that's a macro skill, bro.
Yeah.
How do I become charismatic? Well, and it's kind of hard to pinpoint what charismatic is, but you can break it down to micro skills. So croissant, you can break it down to, are you good at weighing ingredients? Precisely measuring things. Are you good at, checking temperatures, following steps? Are you good at when mixing the dough, pulling things up, cutting instead of tearing? Like we can break it down to just like probably maybe 50 different micro skills that would get you to a good point.
Yeah, if not more. There's teach you precision. You need to have patience too, because you start a dough today, you're not gonna have a croissant before tomorrow.
Well, we're just gonna we're gonna pause here, talk about patience. God, like that's a hell of an ingredient.
And patience
in croissant, in pastry, in the business, in romance, like it just a lot of things. And I'm interested to kind of like break the plan a little bit and ask you guys, what is patience for you?
Patience is
and how do you learn that?
From your mistakes, I guess. When you learn, I shouldn't have done that. And next time you do it, then you're
sometimes in the oven, the cake is halfway baked.
Yeah, and then it collapses, and then you have to do it again. Well, there's a lot of these steps as well where you do, you need to be able to control when to go or when to stop. And most of the time when you're impatient, you're gonna overmix your dough, where sometimes the best way is like you stop it and let it sit for a little bit and then come back later, and then it will play in your favor. If you try to you push the button and you're like, I want to do it now, and then your dose, it's not gonna come out right. Start.
They were doing to stretch something and it shrinks.
Yeah.
They're like, no, but I got this.
You need to let it relax, and then the best way to learn is to you get in there, and then once it happens for you a few times, then you will learn. You will learn on that.
Oh yeah,
You learn the hard way.
in Spanish is echando perder se aprende.
See,
Oui.
we
What about you, Chef?
I think a big part of patience is setting yourself up for success, because that's really important in a kitchen. Like when you're patient and you stop and then you say, okay, well, what tools can I grab right now that'll make this better? That's one of the most important skills I've learned in the kitchen, and that is tied to patience. So,
I heard somebody, I may have been Alex or Lucy, could be wrong, but he said something about patience that I thought it was great. And very like, I don't know if I'm ADD, ADHD, or any of those things. Maybe I'm all of those things. I'm quite honest. I could have an alphabet soup in my head at the moment, but patience for me is just finding what to do in the meantime. Oh, it's crazy. For me, it was like, how do you expect me to work to wait? 3 days for a batch of croissant? Well, it's easy. Just do 3,000 other things, and then it's fine. All of a sudden, you don't realize you're being patient. You're just busy as hell.
if you have time to lean, you have time to clean.
It's what you really want to do. If you didn't know, and you're gonna work in a kitchen, you're gonna hear this one. If you have time to lean, you have time to clean, and that's so true. Yeah, especially in a country where we get paid by the hour. We're working in the kitchen position. Anyway, we'll go back to the show now. Oh, okay. This is the part 4 of the show, guys. It's innovation versus tradition. So, tell me about your thoughts on classic, croissant au beurre, pain au chocolat, and like the very, very classic versus the filled croissant, the spiral, the cube, the star, the rectangle, the cylinder, all that good stuff. And also how, I guess, like what are also, after you say that, like what are some of your favorite creations and proudest moments?
So usually when I go to a place for the first time, when I get to travel, and I always ask for recommendation. What's a good bakery? Who has like good viennoiserie, good croissant? I get every viennoiserie. That's the more broad word for anything laminated, like pain au chocolat, croissant, kouign-amann, things of that nature. Even brioche comes in the viennoiserie.
Danish, puff pastry.
Yeah, absolutely. And then usually when I go to a place for the first time, usually I go for the plain croissant. That's how you judge. You taste the butter, you taste the fermentation, flakiness.
Call a plain croissant in French?
Mm-hmm.
How do you call a plain croissant in French?
Croissant au beurre. Croissant au beurre, like what butter croissant. Yes,
Great.
and then as soon as you start putting things in there, you want to taste like the real thing first, and then I go with like all the declination and then I go. If there's like 12 different kinds, sometimes I go for all of them. I'm not eating them all, but I eat a piece of everything. And you're gonna travel somewhere where somebody's gonna have like a special recipe of this special apple compote with like a little bit of spice that you never tried before, and then that's gonna light a little, like, that's a good one. I like that.
I like that croissant is definitely a classic item. It's not trendy. It's on trend.
Yeah.
And it's pretty much going to be on trend, I think, as long as I live.
Yeah.
And so, okay, so if I hear you correctly, you're kind of leaning more towards tradition.
Yeah.
And what is your favorite croissant moment? Your proudest croissant moment?
Proudest croissant moment was I think it was probably about 15 years ago, when croissant is like one of these things. I worked in pastry shops, various pastry shop, different jobs where I was more towards like restaurant desserts. I've done gelato. I've done a lot of specialties. And when you don't laminate and you don't do any fermented doughs for a long time, you tend to lose it. It's not like bicycle. And one day I remember a friend of mine brought me some samples of very nice butter from France. I was like, oh wow, I'm gonna get back in there. So I had to get my book back, and I had to just refresh my memory. And then I did some croissant, and they came out like, I impressed myself. So I was like, oh, wow, they come out pretty good. Yeah, that was one moment where, like you said, that's one of his product. Like, when you're done with it, you're like, you don't know how it's gonna come out until it comes out of the oven.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard from a friend of mine, big ass, the famous baker in Venezuela. He would say, if you don't believe in magic, you've never baked bread. And I think that's such a cute, but also like appropriate way to put it. Like you go in the oven, and sometimes things look rough. You go in, and the oven does, and then they come out, and you're like, wow, it's like a newborn baby.
Yeah, there's always that.
Beautiful. You're not sure why.
When you close the door, there's always that moment where you doubt. You're like, I hope they come out right. It is, there's gonna be that one day where you feel like everything went right, and then it's gonna come out.
We didn't even touch on like weird rituals when you're laminating or baking. I feel like that's gonna come later. It's gonna go in the dark web. Chef Diana, tell us thoughts on innovation versus tradition, and your favorite or proudest croissant moment.
Yeah, I think the food world is always just like innovating, and that always keeps us on our toes, because like if not, we would just stay kind of stuck in one way. When I get custom cake requests and it's like this new trend, I always like, oh my gosh. But then I always learn something new, or I always I'm like, it helps me learn a technique that I probably wouldn't have learned. So I welcome innovation. I like that. Yeah, and it helps us. I mean, we try to do that at Love Croissants, where how do they do this? We see a picture of a croissant. Well, let's do some R&D. It's fun. It makes the process really fun. And
favorite creation, proudest
creation?
croissant moment.
I don't know. That's hard.
It could have been last week's.
Yeah. I convinced Omar to put a cake inside of a croissant.
Yeah, I saw that video. That was
We're spilling the tea right now. I don't know if this is gonna come out before or after we post this, but hey, if you heard it, just please keep it to yourself. Our pudding, and that's just because Diana really, make this happen, and it's another beautiful thing because croissant lives between pastry and and bread baking, and so the cake inside of the croissant is something that we really wanted to do. We're excited about having all those different textures, and essentially like a whole dessert inside of a cake croissant. Boom. I'm gonna first say what my favorite creation this far has been the king cake, because I just love when I don't expect things to be good. And for the most part, you wouldn't believe this about me, but I'm a pessimist. So I'm like, it's just gonna go wrong. That's like. And when I have a really good day, I'm like, maybe I'm sick. Maybe I'm going to die. And so this is literally what's happening in the back of my head, even though things go well. And the king cake was like, this is not a good idea. I don't think people are going to like this. I don't think I'm going to like this. And we just took a stab at it. And holy moly, this king cake, it was like jewelry in bread. So we're going to put a link here. We're going to put a little clip over there or something. This was insane. I was like, we created a new product. Yeah. In a way, we rewrote history of cake. And we just made it play here. Very impressive, in my opinion. And then innovation versus tradition. I am definitely in the center. I love tradition, and I love boring businesses and things that I know are going to outlive me. That's something that I love spending my time investing in. At the same time, I think regardless of what industry you pick or what sort of vehicle, whether it's croissant or pizza or whatever you're doing, I think it's very important to show who you are, the things that you like, and we see it in all of our work. The things that we are obsessed with, like you go to Love Croissant, you're gonna have a love bun. That's like literally our signature product, and it's one of our signature products, and it's a croissant dough nut that has sweet cream cheese filling with a little lime zest, and then it's covered with wild glaze and graham crackers. Truthful. Yeah. Like that's just home in a croissant, right? And so I would say I love both. I love tradition, but I definitely think you should lean into who you are and the things that make you unique. And so a lot of people have said like this bakery reminds me of a French bakery in Venezuela. I just think that's so interesting. The fact that we have, first of all, oversized croissant. Obviously, croissant in France is like 85, maybe 90, 95 grams at most.
Raw.
Yeah, raw.
Yeah.
Our croissant is 120, sometimes 125% grams of dough. So we're like, we're in Texas, we're going to make something that's like, it's a Houston croissant and it's gigantic for all, French purposes. And also the filling. I don't think you wouldn't call a croissant something that has turkey and goat cheese and dried figs and basil inside. Like, it'd probably just be called a sandwich. Or
No, it's I like to, once you have your vehicle, like you said, you just leave your creativity, let your creativity fly.
you just take it home.
And then I get a lot of inspiration when I look online. Sometimes I see videos of like people's creation or like some things you would never thought of. I mean, you'll be like, what is that? And then you're like, you know what? I want to try that. I like to be challenged too, even though I like the classic things. That's how, that's how you judge. Once you get that, you go, all right, let's go. Let's have some fun.
And also, people appreciate you having fun.
Yes.
I've noticed this.
Oh, like you said, it's your signature. It's your that's a little bit of yourself.
In our videos, and when we show people what we do, I think the biggest thing that I hear is like people telling us like, oh, we see you guys smiling, we see you guys having fun. And
yeah, absolutely.
the truth is, this works.
Yeah,
fucking hard.
Yeah.
Pardon my French. It's hard.
Yes.
No, it's not.
Yes.
It's not a cakewalk. But honestly, it's really hard. And like, if you're not there in the moment and like, why you're doing it, I always like to say pain is not optional in life. Like, when we're doing things that matter, like, we're gonna go through pain, and we experience a lot of pain. But suffering it is optional. Suffering kind of goes away when you know why you're doing things and your purpose.
Yeah, a lot of people like, started at a very young age, working with like chefs that are like they're like war veterans. They were a little tough. A lot of people say, oh, wow, it's a sacrifice. If you do something you really like, I don't think it's a sacrifice. You look at it as an investment. If you do something you like, you go to work, you smile, you work with good people, you do things you love. At the end of the day, even a long day you feel great. You go to bed, you sleep like a baby.
Oh yeah, exactly. Especially if you bake overnight. I agree, your shift will make you sleep like.
Oh yeah, you go to bed, you still smell like butter and vanilla.
Yeah, exactly. And you won't have chance to rinse off. Okay, guys, this is rapid fire. Just the final thoughts. We're gonna go around really quick. Okay. So first of all, what's your favorite filling? Or plain? What's your favorite flavor?
Pastry cream raisin, like pain raisin. A good pain raisin is like my favorite.
What's your favorite filling?
Oh, chocolate.
Pain au chocolat?
Yeah.
What? I like that it sells so much. My favorite filling is the Love one. Yeah, well, cream cheese, no doubt. How many layers, or said differently, how many folds? 2 double, 2 single, 3 single, 1 single, 1 double. This is like croissant literature. It's kind of complicated. 1 single, 1 double. You're a classic man.
Yes.
Okay. Chef?
What if we do a low croissants?
We do a single and a double.
There you go.
Jeez. Okay, that took a couple. For you guys probably don't know this. We started with 2 doubles, and then we did 2 singles, and now we're in a single and a double. So we don't drink our own Kool-Aid over here. We believe in iteration. Okay, what is 1% rule you never break?
What am I gonna say? That's a tough
You
one.
always put butter, baby.
Well, yeah, that's yeah. We'll never break. I don't know how to answer that, to be honest with you. I was like, I always follow the same ritual.
So the one rule that you never break is that you never break any rule. That's your rule.
Trying not to, but if you stick to the plan, usually you get somewhere.
I know that. Diana, what's one croissant rule you never break?
I don't know if this is a rule, but I would never make a croissant without good quality butter.
Yeah.
High fat.
Well, for me, the one croissant rule I'll never break is I'll never try to do it in a hurry. Okay. Chef Frederic, 2 more questions. Second to the last is in one sentence. Why not pray? I will say this. Pourquoi croissant?
Well, croissant. Well, that's like you said earlier, you're talking about the first bite. When I took a bite, it lit something in there, and I wanted, even though it was really satisfying, I knew that's what I wanted to do to make a living. That's what I wanted to. And going in front of the bakeries and having that smell, I wanted to get in there and play with dough. That's what
One
truly
sentence
is.
is I want to get in there and play with it. Yeah. Yes. Chef Diana, why croissant? One sentence.
In one sentence, because it's a challenge, and yeah, it's worth it to challenge yourself in life.
I love that. For me, it's too easy. It's because I love croissant. Oh my God, this has been such a special episode, guys. I've been looking forward to it, and I just love this opportunity to hang out with friends, people that I love, people that I admire. Chef Frederic, thank you so much for joining us, and please tell our listeners where can they find you.
Well, when I'm not in a plane, I live in the Houston area.
Are you on
Yeah.
Instagram?
I'm on Instagram. It's what is it? F16?
Yeah.
F16, yes.
That sounds about right.
And yeah, if you have any questions, you can DM me and then I'll answer.
Will you say that in French just for everybody and for me especially? You don't want to reach out to me.
Oh, well, yeah, si vous voulez me joindre, mon Instagram, c'est Flaret16. Laissez-moi un message direct et je répondrai à vos questions.
Would you guys want to know where's the French chef over here? Now you know. The word is up. Chef Diana, thank you so much for coming. Where can we find you? Where can people find you, hang out with you, talk to you? Ask you questions.
I'm in the commissary. I'll make my kitchen. Come check me there. Instagram too, Diana and Nadira, and Love Croissant videos.
Guys, we have this good old tradition at the show. Just before we let anybody go, I wanted to ask them about this question that was led by a previous guest. They didn't know you guys were going to be next. So the question is coming from a dear friend of mine, the celebrity chef's immigration attorney, Beatrice Trios Ballerini. And your question, it kind of goes like this. Are you where you're at because of your successes or your failures? And which one?
Well, it's in life, like in Croissant, it's like the more you fail, the more you learn. And you don't have to pick yourself up, rebuild yourself. So failures definitely makes you a stronger person, stronger human being, stronger professional.
There you go. What about you, Chef?
I agree. Failure. I mean, it's like when you think of like those hard moments, or when you're building a business, when you think to the hard moments, is what you think of, like just never giving up. That's like, I think what this is like my motto in life, just continue, never give up.
I love that you said that. We were talking about this the other day, how like in Navy SEAL training, they have this like bell in the camps, or like all you have to do is you're done. Like if you don't want to wake up at 5 a.m. anymore, if you don't want the cold shower, if you don't want to run so many miles, if you don't want all this, just ring the bell. And one thing that we all have in common is that we're never, ever, under no circumstance gonna ring the damn bell.
We stick together.
Guys, this has been amazing today. This is it. I love it. And you know what? The question for our next guest is going to be very easy because we all agree. The question is, pourquoi croissant?
Wow.
Thank you, guys. Love
Thank you for having me. Have a great day. Thank you. Ça va, it's introductory.
Okay, then you say goodbye.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.
Au revoir. Ciao. Bye.
morning light. Butter melting, it's a tasty sight. Warm and soft from the baker's hands. Start the day with tasty plans. Rise and shine, it's croissant time. Fluffy dreams in every bite. Butter love is so, so fine. Morning's here and feels just right.